With summer just around the corner, there is a collective shift in the air. We start dreaming of warmer days, quiet mornings, and that golden, uninterrupted time away from our screens. But if we are being completely honest with ourselves, the lead up to vacation is often filled with a mounting sense of anxiety. We work double time just to get ahead, and yet we still find ourselves packing our laptops or checking our email from the beach. This happens because we fail to set the proper foundations before we step away. We fall into familiar patterns that quietly erode our peace of mind long before our out-of-office reply is even turned on. If you want to actually experience true rest this summer, we need to talk about the 3 critical boundary mistakes almost everyone makes before they head out the door. The first major mistake is the vague handover. It is incredibly common to wrap up a final meeting or send a last-minute email saying something along the lines of, just email or call me if anything truly urgent comes up. On the surface, this sounds polite, professional, and accommodating. In reality, it is not a handover at all. It is an open invitation. When you do this, you are leaving the definition of urgent entirely up to the sender. To a stressed colleague or an anxious client, a minor question can easily feel like an absolute emergency. Because you did not define the parameters, your phone vibrates, your peace is shattered, and you are dragged right back into work. A real handover requires absolute specificity. You must clearly define what constitutes an actual emergency, designate a specific point of contact for those issues, and lay out the exact process for how those situations should be handled. When you explicitly state that you will have zero connectivity and that your designated backup has full authority to make decisions in your absence, you create a system that protects your time and empowers your team. The second mistake we constantly see is the guilt boundary. This is the psychological trap of setting a limit and immediately apologizing for it. You might write an email saying, I am so sorry, but I will be completely unavailable next week, or apologize during a meeting for not being able to join a project while you are away. When you attach an apology to a boundary, you dilute its strength. It signals to others and to yourself that you do not fully believe you have the right to take this time off. An apology implies that you are doing something wrong by resting, which opens the door for others to negotiate with your boundary. They might ask for just one quick call or expect you to check in occasionally because you have already expressed a sense of guilt. A boundary does not need an apology to be polite. You can be incredibly kind, professional, and firm all at once. State your absence as a neutral, absolute fact. Set the limit, let it stand in the silence, and trust that you have earned the right to step away without needing to ask for forgiveness. The third mistake is the last-minute boundary, which is all about timing. Many of us wait until the afternoon before we leave, or even the very morning we depart, to let people know we are going offline. We scramble to set our out-of-office reply at 5 o'clock on a Friday and then wonder why our inbox is overflowing with urgent requests the moment we shut our laptop. Setting a boundary at the last minute does not give the people around you enough runway to adjust. It creates sudden panic in your colleagues and clients, which leads to a flurry of desperate, frantic messages right as you are trying to decompress. Boundaries need time to breathe. You need to start communicating your upcoming absence at least 2 weeks in advance. Mention it casually in your meetings, add a brief note in your email signature, and reinforce it as the date gets closer. This gives everyone around you the opportunity to ask their questions, get their approvals, and wrap up their projects while you are still active and available to help them. When you avoid these 3 mistakes, you transition from a state of constant stress to a state of genuine liberation. You stop viewing vacation as something you have to survive the lead up to and start viewing it as a well-deserved protected space. By being specific with your handovers, standing firm in your decisions without apologizing, and giving your professional circle plenty of advance notice, you set yourself up for a summer that actually feels like a break. Now that we have looked closely at these three patterns, I want you to take a moment and be honest with yourself. Which of these boundary mistakes do you recognise most in your own life? Is it the vague handover, the apologetic guilt, or the frantic last-minute rush? I would love to hear your thoughts and experiences, so please drop them in the comments below.